I found my girlfriend in bed with my best friend when I came home early from work. When I walked in, she smirked. Perfect timing. We were just talking about how bad you are in bed. I didn't say a word. I just took a photo and left. 2 days later, they're blowing up my phone after I sent the picture to his wife and her parents. I'm not the type of guy who goes looking for trouble. Never have been. My dad was a cop for 30 years, and he always told me to pick my battles wisely. There's a difference between being weak and being strategic, he'd say. I took that to heart. I'm 32, work in cybersecurity, and until last week, I thought I had a pretty decent life. I've been with Melissa for 3 years. We met at a friend's wedding. She was a bridesmaid, I was a groomsman. Classic setup. She's beautiful, outgoing, the life of the party. I'm more reserved, analytical. We balanced each other out, or so I thought. We moved in together last year, splitting the rent on a 2-bedroom apartment downtown. Things were good, at least on the surface. We had our routine. I worked my 9-to-5, she worked at a marketing agency with flexible hours. Weekends were for hikes, movies, or hanging with friends. My best friend since college, Ryan, and his wife Jen, were our regular Saturday night dinner companions. Last Tuesday, I finished a security implementation ahead of schedule. My boss was impressed and told me to take the rest of the day off. It was around 2 p.m. and I thought I'd surprise Melissa by coming home early and taking her out for a late lunch. I should mention that I always text before coming home unexpectedly. It's just a courtesy thing we both do. But this time, I wanted it to be a surprise. Big mistake. I unlocked the door to our apartment as quietly as possible, thinking I might catch her watching one of those reality shows she pretends to hate but secretly loves. The living room was empty, but I heard voices from our bedroom. At first, I thought she was on a work call. She often takes them from bed when working from home. As I got closer, I recognized the second voice. Ryan. My best friend of 12 years. I'm not an idiot. I knew immediately what was happening, but some part of me needed to see it. Some primal part needed confirmation. I pushed the door open. There they were, tangled in our sheets. The sheets I had bought last month as a surprise because Melissa had mentioned liking them in a catalog. Ryan jumped up like he'd been shocked, grabbing for his clothes. But Melissa? She just lay there, looking at me with this expression I'd never seen before. Like a mask had slipped. Perfect timing, she said with a smirk that made my stomach turn. We were just talking about how bad you are in bed. Ryan at least had the decency to look horrified. Matt, man, I'm so sorry. Melissa cut him off. Don't apologize to him. He should thank us for not saying it to his face sooner. She actually laughed. God, it's such a relief not having to fake it anymore. In that moment, I saw someone I didn't recognize. Not the woman I'd loved for 3 years, but someone cold and cruel who had perhaps been there all along. I didn't say a word. I just took out my phone, snapped a clear photo of them both, and walked out. As I closed the door, I heard Melissa call out, "What, that's it? No screaming? No fighting? Just like everything else. No passion." I drove to a hotel and checked in. Then I sat on the bed and felt nothing. No tears, no rage. Just a cold, clear focus I hadn't experienced since my competitive shooting days in college. I was in tactical mode. I didn't respond to any texts or calls that first night. There were plenty, mostly from Ryan, a few from Melissa. His were apologetic, desperate. Hers were defensive, then angry, then mocking. Way to run away from confrontation again. Ryan feels terrible, but I told him he has nothing to apologize for. Your stuff will be in the hall if you want to come get it like a big boy. I didn't engage. Instead, I made a plan. I called my cousin Greg, who had a spare room, and arranged to stay with him after the hotel, until I could find a new place. Then I called a lawyer friend for advice on how to handle this situation legally. First, I contacted my landlord. Fortunately, both our names were on the lease. I explained that due to personal circumstances, I'd be breaking the lease early. While the standard policy required 60 days notice, after explaining the situation and showing the photo, with intimate areas blurred, he agreed to an expedited process. I paid the penalty fee in full from my savings and signed the necessary paperwork to remove myself from the lease. The landlord understood the urgency and agreed to have the locks changed immediately due to the domestic situation. though he clarified Melissa would have 30 days as required by law to either qualify for the apartment on her own income or vacate. Second, I withdrew my half of our joint savings account. Nothing more, nothing less. I was careful to document the withdrawal and kept records of our equal contributions to the account over time. We'd never combined our regular checking accounts, thankfully. I also canceled any shared subscriptions and removed her as an authorized user on my credit card, making sure to time this when there wouldn't be any pending transactions to cause complications. Third, I went to my office early the next morning and used the secure connection there to create a simple, factual email. Before sending anything, I consulted with my lawyer friend specifically about the legality of sharing the photo. He confirmed that since the photo didn't contain explicit nudity and was taken in my own residence, where I was legally present, sharing it privately with affected parties would not violate any laws in our state. Still, I was careful with how I phrased everything. I attached the photo and wrote, "Jen, I'm sorry to share this with you, but I found Ryan and Melissa together yesterday. You deserve to know the truth. I'm available if you need to talk." I sent a similar email to Melissa's parents, with whom I'd always had a good relationship. "I've always respected you both and wanted you to know why I won't be at Sunday dinner anymore. I found Melissa with my friend Ryan yesterday. I'm moving out and moving on." Then I booked a moving company for the following day, when I knew Melissa would be at work. I arranged for them to pack and move my belongings to a storage unit I'd rented. I was meticulous about only taking what was unquestionably mine, furniture and items I had receipts for or that had been gifts specifically to me. Anything we had purchased together or items where ownership might be ambiguous stayed behind. I even left behind a TV I had bought, but that we had always considered ours. I wasn't interested in pettiness or property disputes. The fallout was nuclear, but I watched it from a safe distance from my cousin's guest room, where I'd settled temporarily. Jen called me within minutes of getting the email. She was devastated but grateful for the truth. She had suspected something was off with Ryan for months. Melissa's parents called next. Her father was especially upset. He had always treated me like a son, even taking me fishing on his boat while Melissa stayed behind, claiming she got seasick. They apologized profusely, though they had nothing to apologize for. It wasn't until the following evening, almost 48 hours after I'd walked in on them, that my phone exploded with notifications. "Ryan, Matt, please call me." Jen threw me out. "I need to explain." "Melissa, you had no right to contact my parents. They're talking about cutting me off. You vindictive asshole." Melissa again. "Answer your phone. You're ruining my life over nothing." Ryan again. "My kids won't stop crying. Jen won't let me see them. Please tell her it was a mistake." More messages poured in, increasingly desperate. Apparently, Jen had also shared the photo with their entire friend group. Ryan's parents, who had treated Jen like a daughter for years, were refusing to speak to him. His boss, who was friends with Jen's father, was suddenly reviewing Ryan's recent work performance. As for Melissa, her parents had indeed cut her off financially. This was significant because, as I'd suspected for some time, they had been helping with her half of the rent for months. Despite her impressive job title and designer wardrobe, she had dropped hints about family money, and I'd noticed her parents often transferred money to her around the first of each month. She spent her own income on expensive clothes and weekend trips with her girlfriends that I now realize probably included Ryan. Here's where I should clarify something. I didn't send those emails to be vengeful. I sent them because Jen and Melissa's parents deserved the truth, delivered without emotion or spin. I wasn't trying to destroy lives. I was simply refusing to protect people who had betrayed me. 3 days after the incident, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Melissa, calling from her friend's phone. "You've completely screwed me over," she spat. "The landlord says I have to qualify for the apartment on my own or move out. You know I can't afford this place on my salary." "That sounds like a problem you created," I replied calmly. "My parents won't even speak to me. They canceled my credit card. Again, consequences of your actions, not mine." "You planned this," she accused. "You pretended to be this passive, agreeable guy, but you're actually calculating in cold." I'm the same person I've always been, I told her. I just saved my warmth for people who deserved it. She was silent for a moment. Ryan's life is ruined. Jen is filing for divorce and full custody. Ryan ruined his own life when he slept with my girlfriend. If you're calling to make me feel guilty, you're wasting your time. I didn't think you had it in you, she finally said, her voice quieter. That was your mistake. I hung up and blocked the new number. A week has passed since then. I've rented a new apartment across town. I've been splitting my time between work, the gym, and helping Jen with her kids when she needs a break. She and I have formed an unexpected friendship, bonded by shared betrayal. Ryan has been staying with a cousin, drinking heavily according to mutual friends. He's already on probation at work. He keeps trying to contact me through different numbers and social media accounts. I block each one without reading his messages. Melissa was given notice to vacate our old apartment since she couldn't qualify for it on her own. Without her parents' financial support, and with her actual salary, she couldn't meet the income requirements. According to her sister, who reached out to apologize for Melissa's behavior, she's moving back to their hometown. Her marketing career in the city significantly set back. Not over, as some mutual friends exaggerated, but she'll have to rebuild her professional network in a smaller market with fewer opportunities. The most surprising outcome has been the reaction from our friend group. I expected to lose friends in the split. That's just how these things go. Instead, I've been overwhelmed by support from many, though not all, of our mutual friends. Turns out, Melissa wasn't well liked among several of my friends. They tolerated her for my sake. And Ryan had apparently hit on several of our female friends over the years, but they'd never told me to avoid creating drama. A few friends have remained neutral, particularly Ryan's cousins and a couple of Melissa's coworkers who were in our extended circle. They've distanced themselves from everyone involved, which I completely understand and respect. I'd rather have a smaller circle of genuine friends than people who feel obligated to pick sides. As for me, I'm doing better than expected. I don't miss Melissa. That version of her never existed. I miss who I thought she was. I miss the friendship I thought I had with Ryan. But I don't miss the illusion. My dad called yesterday after hearing what happened from my mom. He didn't offer platitudes or tell me I'd find someone better. He just said, "You handled it like a man should. Strategic, not weak." For those wondering about the legality of what I did, I consulted a lawyer friend before taking any action. The photo I took was in my own home where there's no expectation of privacy. I didn't distribute it publicly or post it online. I sent it privately to affected parties. I didn't take anything that wasn't mine, didn't damage any property, didn't threaten anyone. I simply shared the truth and removed myself from the situation. Some might say I was cold or calculating in my response. Maybe I was. But when Melissa smirked at me in our bed with my best friend and mocked my most intimate vulnerabilities, something switched in me. I realized that sometimes the most powerful response isn't a shouting match or a fistfight. It's the calculated application of truth. They underestimated me because I'm usually quiet, because I prefer resolution to conflict. They mistook kindness for weakness. That was their fatal error. As my dad also likes to say, don't mistake the sheathed sword for a dull one. I'm moving forward now. A clean break, a fresh start, and a valuable lesson learned about the difference between who people pretend to be and who they really are when they think no one's watching. Update. 2 months later. It's been just over 2 months since everything went down, and since many have asked for an update, here it is. First, about me. I'm doing well. The new apartment is smaller, but in a better location. I've taken up kickboxing 3 times a week, partly for fitness and partly as an outlet for the anger that occasionally surfaces. My job offered me a promotion last month. Apparently, the focus and efficiency I've shown since the breakup has been noticed. Now for the fallout. Ryan's divorce proceedings began remarkably quickly. Jen was fortunate to have a family friend who's a divorce attorney who helped fast-track the initial filings. They've already reached a tentative settlement agreement, unusual in such a short time, but not yet finalized. The court still needs to approve their arrangements for property division and custody. He's paying temporary support, and has limited supervised visitation with his kids for now due to concerns about his drinking. He lost his job last month after his performance declined drastically. He still tries to contact me occasionally, but the messages have changed from apologetic to accusatory, claiming I went nuclear and destroyed his life over one mistake. I haven't responded to any of them. As for Melissa, she indeed moved back to her hometown. According to her sister, who has kept in touch, their parents eventually started speaking to her again, but have maintained their financial cutoff. Melissa is working at her cousin's salon and living in a small apartment her parents own, but make her pay rent for. She's apparently been telling anyone who'll listen that I'm psychotic and emotionally abusive, claiming I manipulated everyone against her. No one who actually knows me believes it. The most unexpected development involves Jen. We've continued our friendship, finding genuine support in each other's company. Last month she asked if I'd be interested in dating, once we've both had more time to heal. I was surprised. I've always found her attractive and admired her strength, but never thought of her that way out of respect for her marriage. I told her I was open to the possibility, but suggested we take things very slowly. We've had dinner alone twice now, just talking and enjoying each other's company without pressure. Some people have questioned whether getting involved with Jen is appropriate or healthy. I understand the concern, but we're both adults who connected through a difficult experience. We've agreed to be completely honest about our feelings and expectations, and to step back if either of us feels we're moving forward for the wrong reasons. Life has a way of surprising you, both with how quickly people you trust can betray you, and with how resilient you can be in the aftermath. I won't say I'm grateful for what happened, but I will say I'm stronger for having gone through it. And I'm moving forward with clearer eyes about the people I allow into my life. Sometimes the most valuable lessons are also the most painful ones.